Brock. Hands down the hardest first gym leader in any version of Pokemon. And in Generation 1 he was especially difficult because Pokemon had such terrible movesets. We end up running away, just like the Pikachu in the anime. Today, let's find out how many Pokemon can actually beat Brock on minimum battles. And how big of a challenge was Brock really? Let's get into it. Hello and welcome back to RBY Pokemon Challenges. My name is Teo and this is episode 2 of the Brock Minimum Battles series. Now if you missed episode 1, don't worry, it's linked in the description below. Last time we took the first 15 Pokemon, Bulbasaur all the way up through Beedrill, and tested them against Brock on minimum battles. Today we've got 16 new challengers, Pidgey all the way up to Nidoqueen. Let's see how they do on minimum battles here. Now, when I say minimum battles, what I mean is that we're only fighting the 3 required battles in this section of the game. Rival 1, the last bug catcher in Viridian Forest, and Brock himself. That's it. Why? Well, when we do minimum battles, what we're really doing is preventing over-leveling in the early game. You see, a lot of people grind before Brock because they're so sure that their Pokemon can't get through him without extra levels. But we've already found that fire types, a type that should be resisted by Brock, actually have a natural strategy for getting through him as long as you know how his AI works and you have Ember. We've also found that a couple of Pokemon that you wouldn't expect to struggle, for example Squirtle in Pokemon Red and Blue version, or Bulbasaur in Pokemon Yellow, actually have a lot of difficulty in this section. So, by knowing exactly which Pokemon are able to beat Brock on minimum battles and which ones can't, I'm hoping to help you guys when you do your own solo runs or when you do Nuzlockes or anything like that to make better decisions about whether or not you actually need to level up before the first gym. So, with that being said, we are going to put these Pokemon into a tier list. But I hate arbitrary tier lists, folks. I hate when I watch a YouTube video and a guy's just saying, my feeling is that this is an A, my feeling is that this is a C. No, let's put some concrete rules in place. An S tier Pokemon for this challenge is a Pokemon that basically one-shots Brock's Pokemon. They have no difficulty whatsoever, they're going to win every time. A Pokemon in the A tier is a Pokemon that is highly consistent on minimum battles with 0 DVs, the worst possible stats. A Pokemon in the B tier is a Pokemon that wins on 0 DVs, but it might take a few attempts to get through. A Pokemon in the C tier is a Pokemon that takes a few attempts to get through even when they have the best possible stats, max DVs, and they're inconsistent when they're on 0 DVs. A Pokemon in the D tier is inconsistent even when it has the best possible stats. You might want to grind 1 or 2 more levels with them to make it more consistent. And finally, Pokemon in the F tier are Pokemon that cannot complete this challenge. Either it is literally impossible, or it's so impractical that you'd be grinding for a massive amount of time. If it's a 1 in a million shot, we're not going to count that as a win, folks. So with that being said, let's get into the challenge. Starting off with our Pidgey, we've got Sand Attack. Come on, this is gonna be easy, right? So, quick programming note. I'm only going to talk about the Rival 1 fight or the Viridian Forest fight for unevolved Pokemon, unless it's really interesting for some reason. So let's get into this. Here, with Gust and Sand Attack, we just wrecked Rival 1. Against the Viridian Forest Bug Catcher, it's more of the same. Gust just crushes the Weedle. But now we've got to take on Brock, and here Sand Attack is our best strategy. Basically, we want to set up 6 Sand Attacks, hopefully not take too much damage. We can see he's doing 10 HP every time he hits us, so we're a 3-hit KO here. But if we can get his accuracy down enough, and if Geodude uses enough defense curls, we might just be able to get through to the Onix. You're gonna hear me say it a lot, if we ever get to Onix, we're gonna have a shot. Might not be a good shot, but we'll take it. So here we are whittling down this Geodude, and we're getting so close to the range it hits us again. We've got 4 HP remaining, but we are going to be able to take it down. Perfect. Now, up against the Onix, we're going to start by setting up Sand Attack, but we get KO'd. I grinded this one out many times, and that was the best luck that we got. The fact is that Sand Attack only reduces accuracy to 1/4 of its normal amount, which means that we're going to take those 3 hits that will knock us out from the Geodude most of the time. Alright, so that one's not working. Let's try this again in Pokemon Yellow version. In Yellow, we have the advantage that Geodude is 2 levels lower, but it only knows Tackle. It doesn't know Sand Attack in this one. So even though it's doing less damage to us, it only did 7 damage when it hit us, that still leaves us easily in 4-hit KO range. Here, we do get the luck to slowly whittle it down. We've got 14 HP remaining. Can we get this one to go? No. So I tried that one a bunch of times in other footage. It just doesn't work. Let's try Pidgeotto instead. Pidgeotto has the same moveset, but it has the advantage, of course, of being an evolved Pokemon with better stats. So here in Pokemon Red and Blue version, we're going to do the same strategy, set up our Sand Attacks, and then go into Gust. We can see that in this case, we have better HP. We haven't been hit yet, but let's see how much damage it actually does when it does hit us. Okay, it's about 8 HP here, meaning that we are firmly in 4-hit KO territory rather than 3-hit KO territory. Here we are grinding it down with Gust, but we've only got 5 HP remaining. Come on, can we do this? Let's get to Onix. Here, it's just a grind, folks. But once we get the luck, here we are. We're on Onix. We've got 10 HP remaining. We're trying to set up our Sand Attacks. Let's just see. Okay, now Sand Attack is set up. It's used Bide, so we're just going to use Sand Attack when it's using Bide to avoid doing damage. And, okay, we've set up all of our Sand Attacks. Let's go into Gust. Let's see if we can get at least decent damage on it. Maybe it will look possible. That's another Bide, but here we can't avoid hitting it when it's in Bide because we're slower. We get taken out. So this one might be possible, but let's just check how much luck it will actually take. I've put a GameShark code in the description below, but basically what I'm doing, it's a common test I use in these luck-based spots. I freeze my opponent's Pokemon. By freezing them, we can basically see what would happen if they never hit us. We saw that the Geodude was doing about 8 damage to us each time it hits us, so we can use that to judge how many hits we could actually take and still have a chance. Here, once we get to the Onix, we can see that we don't have many Gusts left, meaning that we're gonna have to rely on Struggle to take it down. So how much HP will be left after we use Struggle and get it into the range to actually knock it out? Well, we're going to grind this one out for quite a bit. It's going to take a very long time. Even coming in with max HP, 33 HP, we can see that we're getting down reasonably low. We're all the way down to half of our original health, and what will be the final amount of HP remaining? Folks, 8 HP. So if we get hit even one time by the Geodude, we fail that. So Pidgeotto in Red and Blue is out. Well, let's try it in Pokemon Yellow version, because a lot of you may know that in the original Minimum Battles video for Yellow version that was posted by J-Rose, shout out to him, he used a Pidgeotto in order to beat Brock. The issue is that his Pidgeotto was a level 9 Pidgeotto caught wild in Viridian Forest, whereas this is a level 8 Pidgeotto. So here, we are all the way to Onix, and we are trying to grind it down. We've set up our Sand Attacks. We've got 11 HP remaining, but we're outsped here. And that's a pretty big deal, because Bide, when it returns damage, bypasses accuracy checks. So if we can't avoid hitting him when he uses Bide, he's going to do damage to us. We've got 2 HP and he knocks us out. So let's test this one. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use save states. If with save states this one is possible, let's just see how much HP is actually remaining at the end. So when we use save states, what that means is that we're actually saving in the middle of the battle and resetting when we get bad results to just see if we can get a lucky enough run to get through. Because again, it might give us an idea of just how much luck is actually required. So here, we are grinding it down. We can see that we're all the way down to 7 HP remaining, 6 HP. We're using struggle at this point. Yeah, we get down to 2 HP remaining. So this one is not practical at all, because if it takes that level of luck, come on. Now some of the longtime viewers of the channel might be saying, well, wait, didn't you beat Brock on Minimum Battles with the Pidgeotto in the original Brock Minimum Battles series? Well, yes, I did. But I made a mistake, folks. In that original series, I thought I was giving my Pokemon max DVs, but the GameShark code I was using was actually giving them max DVs and max stat experience. What that means is that my Pidgeotto had 5 additional HP over a max DVs Pidgeotto. On top of that, we've got better stats, everything from defense, attack, speed. And here, with higher speed, we actually outspeed the Onix. What this means is that when Onix uses Bide, we don't have to hit it when we have higher speed. We can just use Sand Attack and avoid taking any additional damage. However, with a Pidgeotto on max DVs, we're outsped, so we actually have to hit it the first turn, meaning that we can get taken down. So Pidgeotto's out. Let's try Pidgeot, because it's very close, folks. With Pidgeot, we have a huge advantage in that Pidgeot actually outspeeds on max DVs. So here, we are going to start by setting up against the Geodude. We are going to set up our Gusts and Sand Attack and just whittle this one down. We're getting really lucky here. We haven't even taken a single hit yet. Can we get through with full HP? Because that would be ridiculous. Here, we're just grinding it down. This is going to be the slowest battle ever. But even with one hit, we can see it only did 7 damage to us, meaning that we can take 5 hits here as opposed to 4 from Pidgeotto. And because we outspeed here on the Onix, basically we can just use Sand Attack whenever it uses Bide. And the rest of the time, Gust or Quick Attack, they're both the same base power, 40 base power. They're both normal type stab moves. So it's just a matter of picking your favorite and take it down slowly but surely. As long as we get the luck that we don't hit it when it's using Bide, Bide bypasses accuracy checks, so even with all the Sand Attacks set up, it will always hit if we've done damage. Now, this one's always going to be a grind, but we have a huge advantage because we also have Quick Attack, meaning that we don't have to use Struggle in this fight. So once we get it down in the range, we've run out of our Sand Attacks, that's fine. We'll just use Gust, we've still got decent HP remaining. And can we take it down? Yes. Pidgeot is the first Pokemon in this episode to beat Brock on Minimum Battles. Now let's try it again with 0 DVs in Pokemon Red and Blue version. It took a few attempts to get through on max DVs, but maybe it will be just about the same on 0 DVs. We'll just have to see. So we're taking a bunch of attempts to just try to grind through, but we can see that we're getting to Onix fairly frequently. And if you get to Onix, you've got a shot, folks, every single time, because Onix, between Bide and Screech, it has a decent chance of not hitting us or not doing that much damage to us, and we can just try to get the ranges in order to take it down. So here in this one, what we're going to do is set up our Sand Attacks first, and we're going to spam Gust after that on the Geodude. Basically, we just like to use up as many Gusts as possible, and hopefully get through with a decent HP remaining. So far, we haven't taken a single hit, which is pretty ridiculous. It is possible in red and blue though, because with the accuracy drops plus with Geodude using Defense Curl, a Defense Curl is basically a miss when a normal type move's already basically only going to do 1 damage to it, right? So we love Defense Curl and we love when it misses with Tackle. We're just going to whittle it down, and we can see that we get through this one with full HP remaining. That's perfect. So now on Onix, we can see that we're actually outsped by the Onix here. But we've got a solution. Quick Attack. Quick Attack means that whenever it's not using Bide, we'll just hit it first. But once it uses Bide, we'll switch into Sand Attack to whittle it down. This is the reason why when you get here against Onix, you don't want to just spam 6 Sand Attacks at the beginning of the fight. You want to keep that PP to use whenever he uses Bide. So as long as he doesn't go crazy using Tackle at the beginning of the fight, we can get decent ranges. And once we do run out of Sand Attacks, when he uses Bide, we're going to switch to Gust, because the turn that he releases the energy, he'll outspeed us, and we'll hit him 1 time with Gust without accumulating more damage. So it's just a matter of switching between Gust and Quick Attack depending on the situation. We can see we're getting him down in the range. We've still got 10 HP remaining, and there we go! Brock is down on 0 DVs with a Pidgeot. That's nuts, folks. Now let's try the same thing here in Pokemon Yellow version. In Pokemon Yellow, the key is this. On max DVs, we still outspeed the Onix, but Geodude only knows Tackle, so it's only going to attack us every single turn. We don't have a way to avoid damage other than getting the luck with Sand Attack. So it's always going to be less consistent, but because of the fact that he's at a lower level, he's also doing less damage to us each time. So it's just a grind to get through this one. It's reasonable on max DVs, but it's definitely not what I would call easy or consistent. So here in this one, we are going to go ahead and set up our Sand Attacks, and this one we're getting incredibly lucky. We've taken 1 hit, but he's only doing 5 damage to us. That means that we're in 7 hit KO range. That's pretty reasonable to get through the Geodude when we've got Sand Attack set up. So here, we're just going to go now into Gust and whittle it down. Perfect. And now against Onix, we outspeed because we're on max DVs. It's the same as in Pokemon Red and Blue, but the big difference is Onix is 2 levels lower. So, we're just going to whittle this one down here, and it's the same strategy. When he uses Bide, use Sand Attack. When he doesn't use Bide, we can use either attack, Gust or Quick Attack, because we're outspeeding. So we're just trying to get him down in the range, and here we've run out of Sand Attacks. That's fine. We're just going to spam Gust, and you know, it's not going to be too bad when we get through with this much HP. We've still got 13 HP remaining, so can we grind him down? Well, it's going to take a few more hits here. He's going to go ahead and just miss us. He uses Bide. Perfect. We just take him down. So, Pidgeot has won in both versions of the game. Can it do it on 0 DVs? Well, here on 0 DVs, of course it's going to be less consistent, because this strategy relies entirely on not taking too many hits from the Geodude. On top of that, we've got less HP than we had when we had max DVs, which means that it's going to take fewer hits for us to be KO'd. So we just have to keep grinding this and grinding this to get the luck. We can see that we're getting to Onix fairly frequently though, so as long as we're able to get to Onix and get enough luck with our Sand Attacks and not getting hit by Bide too many times, we should have a shot. So let's just see how this one goes as we keep grinding this one out. Here in this one, we are going to set up our 6 Sand Attacks, and ideally we can set up 6 Sand Attacks without taking a hit from the Geodude. From that point, it has approximately a 1 in 4 chance to hit us. Tackle is 95% accurate, so it's actually a little bit less than that. But as long as we can get through, we see it did 6 HP of damage the first time it hit us, which means that we can actually take 6, maybe 5 or 6 hits. We get through to Onix with 21 HP remaining. Now Quick Attack. We are still outsped here, even though we are on an Onix that's 2 levels lower than Red and Blue. It doesn't matter, it still outspeeds us. So we're basically going to use Sand Attack when it uses Bide, and Quick Attack when it's not using Bide. Once we've run out of Sand Attacks, then we'll switch to Gust whenever it uses Bide, because the last turn it releases energy and we don't have to hit it. So let's just see how this goes. We're slowly whittling it down. We're sitting now on about 13 HP remaining, but we can see that we've gotten pretty low. 11 HP remaining. Okay, Gust, come on. Do the job. Take him down. There we go. We are getting him into the range. Let's just go all in, and there we have it. Pidgeot. It beats Brock on max DVs, and it beats Brock on 0 DVs. He's the first Pokemon in today's challenge to get through. So with that being said, let's go ahead and look at our tier list. Now, what we want to say is definitely Pidgey and Pidgeotto are fails. They take way too much luck to ever get through this fight in a consistent way. You could never rely on it. So you'd be better off just leveling up. What we know, however, is that a level 9 Pidgeotto should be able to beat Brock on minimum battles in Pokemon Yellow version. That's already been shown in J-Rose's run. When it comes to Pidgeot, however, Pidgeot is capable of doing this challenge on max DVs with basically no trouble. It's just going to take a few attempts, but it's not bad at all. On 0 DVs, it's a little inconsistent, so I would say that it has to be a C tier Pokemon. So with that being said, let's get into the next Pokemon. We've got Rattata. Rattata is going to be very interesting because it's another normal type Pokemon with a stab move, but it doesn't know Sand Attack. Will that be enough to be able to get through with just Tail Whip? Let's find out. So here, starting off against Rival 1, the strategy is very simple. We are going to, of course, use a Tail Whip in order to lower the opponent's defense and then go into Tackle. Easy game. Next up in Viridian Forest, this Bug Catcher isn't going to pose us any troubles whatsoever. We're just going to set up our Tail Whips and then tackle it down. But you can see that we've actually gotten here at a lower level than Pidgey. We're only at level 6. That's because Rattata is in the medium fast level up group. It's just getting taken out. It's 3-hit KO from the Geodude. Even in Yellow version at a lower level, the Geodude still takes us out in 4 hits. There's no chance that we're ever getting through this fight. It's just not gonna happen. So let's try Raticate instead. Raticate, of course, has better stats, but it also has Quick Attack, meaning that if we get to the Onix, we can use Quick Attack strats in order to try to get through, but we're still only at level 6. So here we are going to try to set up on the Geodude, and basically with Quick Attack, it's stronger than Tackle. It's 40 base power rather than 35 base power. We still get taken out. Let's try this one more time though, just in case we got a bad range. Maybe we can get the luck with Defense Curls. Well, even with this, we can see that we're still a 3-hit KO. We get taken out. In Pokemon Yellow, the Geodude is at a lower level, but it only uses Tackle, which is 95% accurate, so we get taken out very easily. So we have to put Rattata and Raticate directly in the F tier. Yes, I know there's a guy who's on YouTube who posted a video of minimum battles with a Rattata. Check it out, it's really interesting. But that basically came down to resetting until he got this insane luck in Red and Blue, where the Geodude just used Defense Curl a million times. And at that point, I mean, if you're not using save states in battle, why? Why would you do that? Raticate, on the other hand, I tested it. It actually is able to beat Brock at level 9. So let's go ahead and now try Spearow. Spearow has a little bit different tactic. It's still going to be resisted, but it has a stab move in Peck, and it knows Growl. So here, setting up Growl, we reduce our opponent's damage and we take down Rival 1, no problem. Peck is super effective against the Weedle, so that's no problem. But now, will Growl be enough to get through Brock? Here, by setting up Growl, what we're trying to do is reduce the damage that he does every turn. And if we can get him down, hopefully we get a chance. But the best we're able to do is to get the Geodude to doing 3 damage. So even with the best luck, where it's just using Defense Curl as many times as possible, we aren't really getting its damage output down enough to have a decent chance here. So we're all the way down to 5 HP, we're hoping that it just uses Defense Curl. No, we get knocked out. Moving on to Pokemon Yellow, it's gonna be more of the same, because the Geodude only uses Tackle, folks. So any Pokemon that has bad defense basically just gets wrecked in this fight. Because what are they supposed to do? They're just gonna get hit every single turn, and here, even though he's at a lower level and we can get him down to doing 2 damage per hit, as opposed to 3, doesn't matter, we get taken out. So let's try Spearow. Spearow has a little bit of an advantage in that it's a stronger Pokemon, but it also knows Leer. Leer doesn't really come into effect in Red and Blue though, because the Geodude uses Defense Curl. So the best we can hope for is just to set up our Growls while it's using Defense Curl. We've gotten it down to doing as little damage as possible, but it takes us out. We can grind this one a bunch of times, it doesn't matter. We don't even make it to Onix, because the Geodude just does too much damage, even with Growl set up. So with that being done, let's go ahead and try Yellow version instead. In Pokemon Yellow version, we have the advantage that we actually can use Leer to reduce the defense of the Geodude. It doesn't know Defense Curl here. So after setting up our Growls, we're going to set up a couple of Leers and go into Peck, and we are actually able to get through with 1 HP remaining. So now let's try this against the Onix. We're trying to go ahead and set up Growl and Leer, but it doesn't matter. We get taken out. And even that run was pretty lucky. We don't get through to the Onix that often. So with that being said, Spearow and Spearow go straight into the F tier. You're not getting through with these unless, again, you use something like save states or get insanely lucky. It's just not happening, folks. I'm sorry. So if you love Spearow or Spearow, I'm sorry, your Pokemon's out, folks. So let's see if we can see something different from Ekans and Arbok. These Pokemon start off with Wrap, and we know Wrap can be an incredibly broken move in Generation 1. Will they have enough to get through? So let's get into testing that, starting with Ekans. So Ekans is going to start with 2 moves, Wrap and Leer. So here against Rival 1, basically we're just going to use Wrap, and it does more than enough to take that one down. The Bug Catcher, I mean, we're Poison types, so Weedle's not going to do anything to us, and we can just Wrap it down. It's going to take a lot of turns, but that's fine. Now, when we get to Brock, we actually outspeed the Geodude, which means that we can just use Wrap to whittle it down, and we're getting to Onix with reasonable frequency. The problem is that Onix outspeeds us, and we don't have great defense, so when Onix uses Tackle, we're just getting wrecked in this fight. Absolutely crushed. So we've gotten here to Onix with decent HP, and it still didn't matter. In Yellow version, Brock's Pokemon are a little bit weaker, so let's go ahead and try this. We are going to use Wrap here in order to grind this Geodude down. Ideally, we would get a run where we never get hit, we never miss. Here we've taken 1 hit, which isn't too bad. It did 8 damage to us with that 1 hit though. So here we've gotten all the way to the Onix, and it's even setting up Bide at the beginning, which is perfect. We can use our Leers, and now let's try to use Wrap in order to do some damage to it. But it uses Bind on us, we're all the way down to 3 HP, and we get knocked out. That was my best run, folks. Tried this a bunch of times, it just really doesn't work, because we're outsped. It might be possible with a lot of luck to get through this one, but really it's not practical. I would call this an F tier Pokemon. Because Wrap isn't perfectly accurate, we're really banking on a lot of luck to get that. So here against the Onix a second time, we can see it just takes it down. Now Arbok has something a little bit different. Of course it's a stronger Pokemon, but it also has Poison Sting. Is that something that we can exploit? Well, let's find out. Starting off against the Geodude, the strategy is just to use Wrap. We get through with full HP. Now against Onix, basically we're going to spam Leer at the beginning of the fight, and now go into Wrap, and we're just trying to do as much damage as possible here. Now, when we get the situation that it uses Bide, of course we can use Leer, but we can also use Poison Sting. In this one, we've used up all of our Wraps, so now we're just going to use Poison Sting and we take it down. Perfect. Let's try this again on 0 DVs. So, when we come back with 0 DVs, basically the strategy against Geodude is the same. Try to get through the Geodude without taking a single hit. That's not going to be consistent because Wrap is not 100% accurate, but if we get the luck, even if we get through taking only one hit, we're going to have a decent chance when we get to the Onix. So here in this one, we are going to start by setting up our Wraps, and it's not really worth setting up Leer. We either are going to get hit with a Tackle, or it's going to use Defense Curl. Neither of those are really good for us. We already outspeed, so just Wrap it down. Now, against the Onix, we're going to start off by setting up a Leer. We really love when it just uses Bide right off the bat so that we can set those up. Once we've gotten all of our Leers set up, now we can actually mess around with Poison Sting and Wrap. And the idea is this. What we want to do is we want to basically Wrap it as much as possible, especially when it uses Bide. It will only count the last Wrap in the damage. So here we've gotten it down in the range, and there we go. We take it down on 0 DVs in Pokemon Red and Blue. Now let's move on to Pokemon Yellow, where we can actually exploit Brock's AI with this Arbok. How? Well, first we've got to get a run where we get through the Geodude, and it's the same strategy. Spam Wrap. Now, in this one, we can actually use some Leers to increase the damage ranges here, because it won't use Defense Curl, but I decided to just go for a Wrap. Let's just try to take it down as quick as possible and get as much HP remaining while we get to the Onix. So there we go, we're here on Onix at full HP, and we're going to set up our Leers right here at the beginning of the fight. So once we get all of our Leers set up, we're actually going to go for a little bit of an exploit. You see, when he uses Bide, we actually want to use Poison Sting. Here, we get the poison, and you'll notice something. He didn't immediately heal it, right? Brock in Yellow version only uses full heals after he releases the energy from Bide. Meaning that if you get him poisoned, while he's using Bide, now we can use Poison together with Wrap to do tons of damage and whittle him down, so even though this looks really close, we are actually able to take him out. So Arbok has gotten through in both versions of the game. Can it do it on 0 DVs? Well, this one's going to be more of the same grind, folks, but it's the same strategy. We're just trying to exploit Brock's AI, because if we can get the poison while he is in Bide, every time we will have a chance then to use Wrap and whittle him down. So can we get through to Onix with good HP remaining? Here in this one against the Geodude, we are spamming our Wraps, and hopefully we get through with full HP. Hopefully we don't get any misses. Yeah, there we go. We have full HP left for the Onix. So now spam Leer, and after we get all of the Leers set up, it's time to go into our Wrap strategy, except when he uses Bide. So here, we've gotten him in the Wrap. Let's just whittle him down. He uses Bide, okay? Let's switch to Poison Sting. We're just not quite getting the luck to get the Poison Sting to stick. He uses Bide again. Let's try this. Yeah, Poison Sting only has a 1 in 10 chance to poison him. But here he uses Bide again, Now, let's go ahead and use Poison Sting. We get the poison, perfect. Now, Wrap. We're doing Wrap plus poison damage. We've gotten him way down, and there he goes. So even on 0 DVs, Arbok is possible in both versions of the game, basically by exploiting Poison Sting with Wrap. That is awesome. So now folks, let's go back to our tier list and see how this is looking so far. Basically, we are going to be putting Arbok into the C tier. The reason that it has to be a C tier Pokemon is because this isn't consistent on 0 DVs, and it's not even consistent on max DVs. It takes a few attempts, but it's not really unreasonable on max DVs. You can do it within 10 attempts easily, so I'm going to call it a C tier Pokemon. With that being said, you are always really banking on getting that poison while Brock is using Bide, especially in yellow version. That's your best chance, and you are going to need to get through the Geodude with decent HP. Ekans, on the other hand, we're putting it in the F tier. It doesn't have the Poison Sting strat. It's gonna have to use Struggle at some point in most battles, so it's just not gonna get through this fight, folks. I played with it probably 3 more hours off camera, and it just didn't work. It was ridiculous. So that's the shape of our group so far. 2 Pokemon have gotten through, and we have failed with 7. 2 of 9. Okay, are we going to redeem ourselves with the Pikachu line? Well, you might be saying, well, Pikachu only knows Thunder Shock. It's going to fail against Brock, right? Well, this is where I am going to pull out all the stops. You see, people who watched the original Brock Minimum Battles series know that we don't just use a normal Pikachu, no, we use Surfing Pikachu. The reason we use Surfing Pikachu is because it was available in Pokemon Stadium 1. You didn't have to go to some event in order to get this Pokemon. No, you could get it just in a standard Pokemon game. So here against Rival 1, we're just going to use Thunder Shock. We actually don't have any PP on our Surf at this point because the way the Game Shark works. But we take down the Bulbasaur, no problem. In Viridian Forest, Surf is actually our strongest move, so we're just going to use that to take down the Weedle. Now in Brock's Gym, Surf is a 1-hit KO on Geodude, and it's a 2-hit KO on the Onix. But we get through, no problem. Let's come back on 0 DVs, where Surf completely breaks this game. It's so ridiculous. Is Surf the move that Pikachu needed to actually be good? Maybe. So here, we're going to go ahead and use Surf on the Geodude. It's a 2-hit KO. Now, again, on 0 DVs, it's a 2-hit KO on Onix, and we've gotten through Red and Blue. Let's try this in Yellow version. Brock's Pokemon are 2 levels lower, and in this one, we are going to one-shot the Geodude with the Surf, and hey, look, we leveled up! So after we decide which move to delete for Thunder Wave, I'm probably just gonna forget Growl. I think that's the best play. Tail Whip could be useful later. So here against the Onix, it's a 1-hit KO with Surf. So on max DVs, we crushed that, no problem. Let's try it on 0 DVs. Here, once again, we are going to come in and just use 1 Surf to take down the Geodude. Let's go ahead and learn Thunder Wave yet again. And Surf is a 1-hit KO on the Onix. So with that being done, now we can move on to Raichu, because if there's a Surfing Pikachu, there has to be a Surfing Raichu. For anyone who played Pokemon Stadium 1, in Gym Leader Castle, Lieutenant Surge's Raichu uses Surf. It even has a custom animation for it. So here, our Surfing Raichu one-shots Geodude, and it's a one-shot on Onix in Pokemon Red and Blue version. Let's try it on 0 DVs now. It's gonna be more of the same. Raichu's got much better special, so it one-shots both Pokemon again. Moving on to Pokemon Yellow, I mean, they're 2 levels lower, so what's gonna change? We are just gonna come into this fight. Hey, let's use Surf. There we go, Geodude goes down, Onix goes down. This is completely broken. Now let's try it on 0 DVs, where, again, this is going to be just a bunch of 1-hit KOs. There's no chance that we ever lose this fight. with a Surfing Raichu. So, we have completed this. Pikachu and Raichu get through. That's ridiculous. But it's really cool to see. The series mascot, Pikachu, we're going to put it in the A tier just because it didn't quite one-hit KO the Onix in Pokemon Red and Blue. With that being said, we could argue that in Yellow version, with Surf, it's an S tier Pokemon for this challenge. Raichu goes straight into the S tier. There's no question, it's outspeeding and it's one-shotting all of Brock's Pokemon. It's going to crush the entire early game with basically no difficulty. So with that being done, we've only got a few Pokemon left, so word to my guy Scott's thoughts, we're about to take his personal favorite, the sand-attacking devil itself. That's right, we've got a Sandshrew coming up, folks. And Sandshrew is going to be a kind of interesting Pokemon here. Let's just see how this one goes.
So, getting our Sandshrew here in Professor Oak's lab, we're about to notice the very first thing about it that kind of is going to make this difficult. It only starts with Scratch. It doesn't even get Sand Attack at level 5. So here against Rival 1, we're just going to use Scratch to take it down. That's no problem. We've got good defense, relatively, for an unevolved Pokemon. Here in Viridian Forest, we're Ground type. We don't care about getting hit with Poison Sting, so we're just going to take this Weedle down, no problem. Now, however, we have to beat Brock, and we don't have any sort of status move. We don't have Sand Attack, we don't have Growl, we don't have Tail Whip, and we've already seen that even with those moves, some Pokemon can fail. Here, we're just taking way too much damage, and we're not doing that much with Scratch because it's a resisted move. So, Sandshrew in Pokemon Red and Blue is basically impossible, unless, like Rattata, we got some sort of crazy run where he just used Defense Curl 50 times in a row. We're just not going to get through that fight. Let's try it in Pokemon Yellow version instead, since his Pokemon are at lower levels. Maybe we do enough damage to get through? No. We can see he's doing 5 HP every time he hits us. That puts us in 6-hit KO range, but there's just nothing to do. Now, Sandslash does have the advantage that it does start with Sand Attack, meaning that we could try to repeat the same sort of situation that we had with Pidgeot. So we're going to set up our 6 Sand Attacks and then go into using Scratch to try to take this Geodude down. The big issue, the big difference, is that Scratch is not a same type attacking move here. So we don't get any sort of stab bonus when we're using it, and on top of that, with Defense Curl, it's just doing like 1 damage per hit. We do manage to get all the way to Onix here though. So let's just see if we set up our Sand Attacks, and if we get the right kind of luck, can we take this one down? Well, we can also see that we've got very few Scratches left and we're all ready to struggle. Okay, let's go back like we did with Pidgeotto. Let's test this by freezing Brock's Pokemon. Let's see exactly how much HP we'll have remaining if they never hit us. Keep in mind that this is Pokemon Red and Blue, where Brock's Pokemon are at higher levels, but that also means they have higher defense and higher HP. So, if we can get through here with the right kind of luck, we might be able to find a situation where Yellow will be more possible. So, here we take down the Geodude, we can see that we only have 1 Scratch remaining when we reach Onix. And after that, we're just going to have to struggle it down. We used 34 hits to take down the Geodude. Think about that. So now we're just going to try to struggle this Onix down. And how much HP are we actually going to have remaining? This is pretty close. It looks like we're trading roughly 1 for 1 with him. And if we don't get perhaps a critical hit, I think a critical hit would do 2 damage to him and 1 damage to us, but it depends on whether a critical hit is even really possible here. So here we go down, even though we never got hit by the Onix. That's ridiculous. This run is completely impossible with a Sandslash at level 6. Now, in Pokemon Yellow version, where Brock's Pokemon are at lower levels, we're going to try this again because they're going to have less HP, less defense. This could turn out to be possible. However, we need a run where we are able to set up our 6 Sand Attacks on the Geodude without taking a hit. and that's a pretty tall order. The way that the math works out is that the first sand attack lowers his accuracy by 34%, but he's still going to hit us more than half the time turn 1. The second sand attack lowers his accuracy by 50%, and since Tackle is not 100% accurate, he's got just under a 50% chance of hitting us. But the way that the math works out is just to set up the 6 sand attacks without taking a single hit from the Geodude is only like a 3.9% chance. It's not very good, folks. And then we have to get a run where we've got that 3.9% chance for him not to hit us while we set up Sand Attack, but we're still going to have to take 20 plus turns to actually knock out the Geodude. So here we're slowly whittling him down, but we can see that we're all the way down to 11 HP. Now he's hit us again, we're down to 6 HP, and it's pretty clear that we're not going to get to the Onix with great health most of the time. Now here we do level up to level 8, meaning that we got extra HP, but Onix hits us while we're setting up our sand attacks too, and we get taken out. So let's repeat the same little tactic that we did before with freezing our opponent. Because if we freeze him, we can see exactly how much luck it would take in order to finish this fight. Now, in this case, we have him frozen and we are just taking down the Geodude, and it does take fewer hits than in Pokemon Red and Blue because he is at a lower level. However, we still used 29 scratches to get through the Geodude. Go back and look at Pidgeotto. Pidgeotto was getting through with far more PP remaining. Now, on the Onix, we have to use the last of our scratches, use up our sand attacks, and go into struggle. And how many hits can we actually take? Keep in mind that Geodude's doing about 5 damage every time it hits us, so anything less than about 10 HP would mean that we could only take 1 hit and no hits from the Onix and still get through this. That's ridiculous. So just think about this. The odds to get to the Onix with full HP would be something like we have to get the 6 sand attacks without being hit, and we have to get 29 turns where he doesn't hit us. The odds of that, according to my math, are something like 0.01492%. The odds of a Gen 1 miss, for comparison, is 0.4%. That's ridiculous. So this one we are calling impossible because in all practical senses it is. You could get a run eventually in Pokemon Yellow that would work out, but just grind for 1,000 years, I guess? Come on. We're putting Sandshrew and Sandslash directly into the F tier. And it's a shame because both of these Pokemon are Swords Dance users, they get Stab Earthquake, they could be super OP going through the full game. But the fact that they fail right here because they just don't have the power to take down Brock is the reason why they, as well as a lot of other great Pokemon, just completely fail in minimum battles challenges. So with that being done, we are on to the last set of Pokemon for today's challenge: Nidoran Female, Nidorina, and Nidoqueen. This is going to be incredibly interesting because I think Nidoqueen has the most amazing strategy to use in this section of the game. With that being said, let's get into it. So here we've got our Nidoran Female, and in Pokemon Red and Blue, it doesn't get Double Kick, even if we were to level up until an insanely high level, all the way up in the 40s. But here, we do start with Growl and Tackle. Maybe that will be enough? Here, against Rival 1, we're just going to set up a Growl, and then go into Tackle, and it's just going to be a matter of whittling it down, but there we go. Easy game, Rival 1's done. Here in Viridian Forest, taking out the Weedle is really no problem. We're a poison type, it's not going to do anything to us. And the other advantage is that by taking this one out, we're going to level up to level 7. However, that's 1 level short of getting Scratch, so we don't get the stronger attacking move. So here we have to just set up on the Geodude by using Growl and then spamming Tackle and hoping to get through this fight.
we can see we've already seen it on another run with Spearow, and Spearow had a stab move in Peck. This just doesn't really work. Basically, anytime a Pokemon, especially an unevolved Pokemon, is just using a move like Tackle and Growl, it's probably not going to get through this fight because it's just not going to be strong enough to get through the Geodude. We can repeat this over and over again, it doesn't matter. In Pokemon Yellow, the Nidorans were actually buffed by getting Double Kick at level 12. However, we don't get anywhere close to that. We do get to level 8 though, so we do pick up Scratch, meaning that we've got a slightly stronger move. But is that really enough? Here, we have used all of our Growls, but we're getting hit every single turn by the Geodude because it doesn't know Defense Curl, so we basically just go down just as easily in this version. We never even get close to Onix. So, Nidoran females out, let's try Nidorina. Nidorina has the advantage that it starts with Scratch at the beginning of the game, plus it has better stats, so this is one that we would expect to actually have a little bit of a shot here. We start by setting up our Growls, of course. Ideally, we want to get 6 Growls off without taking a single hit, and now, after it's got 6 defense curls up, it really doesn't matter if we use Scratch or Tackle, they're going to do the same damage, 1 damage per hit. So we're just hoping to get the luck that he uses a lot of defense curls. We're grinding it out, but we go down. And again, this one doesn't really matter. We are basically never going to get the luck where he just uses defense curl 20 times in a row. That would be so ridiculous that we'd just never get it, guys. I'm sorry. So Nidorina in Pokemon Red and Blue version is absolutely out of there. It's a complete fail. We actually did get to Onix once, but we got taken out very easily. Here in Pokemon Yellow version, we are going to try the same strategy, but the key point is, again, it only attacks us. The Geodude never uses Defense Curl because it doesn't know Defense Curl. So we just have to hope that we're going to get some kind of crazy luck between misses, getting its damage down by using Growl, but even then, the best that we're doing is getting it down to doing 1 HP per hit. We still look like maybe without that critical hit, we could have gotten a shot at the Onix. Let's just see if we can grind it out and get a better run. So here, we're just going to grind. How many attempts is this going to take to even get to Onix? Well, we never do. It's that simple. So let's move on to Nidoqueen instead. Nidoqueen has a huge advantage on both of her previous evolutions. And that is that Nidoqueen is one of 3 Pokemon in these runs that is actually capable of using Body Slam. You see, Body Slam's usually locked behind an optional trainer in the SSN, so we can't get TM8 to teach it to the vast majority of Pokemon. But Nidoqueen has Body Slam at level 5 because of the way that its level up moveset works. So, by getting Body Slam here, we are actually going to get not just a stronger move, but a move that has a high chance to paralyze our opponent. If we can paralyze the Geodude, that's going to be one turn where Brock's going to use a full heal, he's not going to increase his defense, and he's not going to attack us. We can take advantage of that to basically buy additional turns. On top of that, if we ever do get 6 paralysis on a single Pokemon, Brock only has 5 full heals. So the 6th time, that Paralyze will stick, and he'll permanently have a chance to not hit us, about a 1 in 4 chance to not hit us because of Paralysis. So let's just see how this goes. We can see that we're grinding a bunch of times here. This is definitely not consistent, but with the right setup, with the right kind of luck, we may be able to get through this one. So here, we are actually getting really bad luck with Paralysis. It's a 30% chance, but we were barely getting any Paralyzes on the Geodude. But let's try this here, where we are going to get the hits and paralyze it, and we're just going to gradually whittle this one down. And we're using Tail Whip, basically trying to net a couple of defense drops before we really go into Paralysis. Once we do, we can get this Geodude to be in a pretty decent range, where we're able to take it out with a decent number of Body Slams remaining. Now on the Onix, the strategy is actually to go for the paralysis at the beginning of the fight. Here's the reason why. When you paralyze an opponent, it cuts their speed to 1/4 of its normal value, meaning that we will outspeed the Onix after we paralyze it. And a full heal does not recover the stat drop that happens in those cases. It's the same with the burns when we used Ember with Fire-type Pokemon. His stats are permanently reduced. So here we are able to get through him because we outsped after we paralyzed him. So now, coming back on 0 DVs, it's going to be more of the same. The idea is to get the paralysis and get good luck on the Geodude so that we can take it out. And then when we get to Onix, we're going to start by trying to paralyze it right off the bat. If we can do that, we're going to be able to take it down and have a chance to get through with this Nidoqueen. So let's just see how many attempts it takes as we're trying to grind this Geodude down. This isn't going to be a super consistent run at all. I think at this point, Nidoqueen's definitely gunning for the C tier at best. So here, we are going to, of course, start off with Body Slam. We get the paralysis once, we're down to 8 HP, but we get another paralysis. He's using Defense Curl, that's perfectly fine with us. We just want to paralyze him as many times as possible, and now we're going to go into Scratch, because his defense is so high, we've got to keep some Body Slams for the Onix. If we don't have Body Slam on Onix, this is basically impossible, folks. So here, we whittled this Geodude down. We've gotten to Onix with 8 HP remaining. We get the paralysis turn 1, even though it used Bide. Now, you're going to notice something very funny here. His Bide did no damage to us. Why? Well, this is another exploit of Brock's AI. If you get status on him the first turn of Bide, he will immediately use a full heal in Pokemon Red and Blue version. What that means is that he will forget the damage that was done to him on that turn. So when he returns damage from Bide, it will count off the turn that you put the status on him because of the way that it works with full heals. This is completely broken. So whenever you have a poison type Pokemon, or a Pokemon that can paralyze Brock, or a Pokemon that can burn Brock, always go for the status on the first turn of Bide. You can see it worked out, and we took him down. Let's move on to Pokemon Yellow version, where here on Max DVs, we're getting to the Onix basically every time. And it has to do with the fact that Geodude can't use Defense Curl. What that means is that we can set up a couple of defense drops and then go straight into using Body Slam. And because his defense is lowered, he's actually a 4-hit KO. Now, on the Onix, we're going to set up, again, with our Body Slams trying to get the paralysis. There we go, we got it. And here Brock uses a full heal, that's just fine. We're just going to try to keep paralyzing him as many times as possible, and hopefully take this one out. Here, we're just grinding, and he's fully paralyzed now. We got 6 paralysis on him, that's nuts. And we take him out with 2 HP remaining, but that's just fine by me. Let's move on to 0 DVs. Now folks, know I've already done the 0 DVs full game run with Nidoqueen. If you haven't seen that, check it out in the card that's popping up right now. But basically it comes down to this. We set up a couple of defense drops on the Geodude, then we go into Body Slam. We're going to take this one out. Now on Onix, we're going for Body Slam right away. We didn't quite get the luck here, he used Bide. Here we paralyzed him on this turn, and you'll notice something different. In Pokemon Yellow version, Brock's AI has been changed. He doesn't use the full heal until the end of Bide, until he releases the energy. But what that means is that there's a chance that he's fully paralyzed on the turn that he wants to release energy, making paralysis completely broken here. So here, we're getting him in the range, we knock him out. There it is. Nidoqueen joins Pidgeot and Arbok in Pokemon that aren't super consistent getting through Brock, but they are possible. They take a few attempts with max DVs. With 0 DVs, they're inconsistent, but they can do it. So what that tells us is that ultimately at the end of the day, we were able to beat Brock with 5 out of these 16 Pokemon. Raichu was by far the best. Surfing Raichu just one-shots everything, it's got no troubles in this section of the game, and it's not really going to have troubles going forward. Think about it. The next trainer is Misty. We're going to take her out. After that, Lieutenant Surge. And by the time that we get to Cerulean City and have to fight Erica, the next gym leader that will actually resist our Thunder-type moves and resist Surf, well, we're going to get access to some strong moves at that point. We could probably make that one work. So then we've got Pikachu in the A tier. And Pikachu's only in the A tier because it didn't quite one-shot the Onix in Pokemon Red and Blue. I think you could make an argument that in Pokemon Yellow, it's right up there in the S tier with Raichu. I'm just looking at this in totality rather than breaking it up between the two versions because it's really close. Then in the C tier, we are putting Pidgeot, Arbok, and Nidoqueen. Of these Pokemon, I would actually say that Arbok is the most consistent of the three because of the fact that it can use Wrap to get to Onix with basically full health with decent luck, and combining that with the strategy to use Poison Sting and Wrap, it completely crushes. Pidgeot is probably the least consistent of these. Sand attack strats just aren't that good, folks. Now, with that being said, all the other Pokemon just completely failed this challenge. They're out. Before I go, I want to give a big thank you shout out to our members. We've got Ken Schmidt and Mark McCarty in the Pokemon Center tier. Thank you so much, guys, for watching and supporting the channel. Then we've got Balth13 and Jeremiah in the Ride-On meme team. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. I'll see you guys in the next video. Later.